Keep in mind that Yandy and Mendeecees took things to a whole new level. This isn't your normal hip-hop drama and love story. Planned arguments for the cameras. This time, the drama occurred backstage, where no cameras were supposed to be present, and it was said that things got a little messy. Could Yandy and Mendeecees get into a full-fledged fight behind the doors? Situations where the other performers were taken aback, but the real question is, what set Yandy off? Finally receive justice for all the suffering she has gone through, or did Mendeecees get caught up in another sensational social? The media is already going crazy over leaked details, and fans are racing to find out what really happened. About another secret issue, or did Yandy just find something that might blow everything up? But one thing is for sure, you're in for a treat if you thought the tension between Mendeecees and hip-hop would go down in reality TV history. Yandy was at last able to unwind and rethink her thoughts after everything that had happened backstage at Love and Hip Hop. The entire cast shuddered. Nobody had expected the brawl, the disclosure of secrets, and the breakdown that could change everything. And Yandy's relationship is currently in utter disarray. And trust me when I tell that this is not just a quarrel, but a full-fledged conflict between two people who once promised to ride together forever. Although it has been rocky for a while, the backstage happenings are worse than anyone could have imagined. A knife could cut through the tension, according to witnesses, and the accusations made by the security guards who hurried in, for the cast had to step in before things got any more disgusting due to word on the street and total lunacy. But hold on, what exactly triggered this disaster? Let's just say that some old demons came out at the most inconvenient time, been keeping something from Yandy, and she finally had enough. There were fireworks when the truth was revealed, so let's travel back in time for. Anyone who has been following their dirty-nosed Mendeecees hasn't exactly been the best example of loyalty, at least not for a little while. Had questionable late-night activities, questionable acquaintances, and, of course, those DNS that were made public a while back. Playing it cool for the cameras, Yandy mostly maintained her composure and grinned during the storm. She apparently has been fuming within, though, and she lost it last night. Insiders claim that this occurred prior to the love, and that Yandy was already experiencing a particular mood before hip-hop recordings started, which led her to pace and whisper to producers. The gloves were finally put on when they were in the same room, and they kept glancing at Mendeecees as he passed. Mendeecees went inside the room and seemed to be well, but Yandy wouldn't have it and went straight to him. She went off and said that she was weary of being ridiculed, tired of protecting a man who at first didn't care about her, and tired of the lies, even though the cameras hadn't even started yet. When Yandy brought up that woman, Mendeecees tried to brush it off, pretending she was experiencing hallucinations. No one knows for sure who that woman is, but you can tell it's terrible by the way M's frozen up. His countenance went blank, and his mouth opened as though he wanted to explain, but it was too late, for Yandy was already hot. According to one insider, the cast was already watching with popcorn in hand when the receipts were revealed, and Mendeecees made an effort to deny, originally accusing Yandy of being too dramatic and listening to people who only intended to break up with her. But Yandy wasn't playing along, so she pulled out her phone, showed him the texts, timestamps, and supporting documentation. And then when Mendeecees was caught, the entire backstage area was in chaos, with phones out and people whispering. Mendeecees abruptly lost it while Lauki security was watching and discussing whether or not to step in, and this is where he flipped the script and started yelling instead of apologizing or accepting responsibility, which caused chaos. Taking revenge on Yandy and saying that she was the problem since she is always perfect and he is the villain he made, charging her, bringing up past occurrences, and asserting that she is not innocent before anyone could investigate what was actually happening. Then, all of a sudden, the tables were turned, security arrived, and everyone started yelling. Members of the hip-hop and love cast are jumping in, the producers are losing it, and they're being pushed. This wasn't let's talk about the actors. Although this was merely a normal quarrel, it marked the start of the history of reality television, reacted for a moment because they weren't expecting this kind of drama. Some were taken aback, while others were delighted by Erica Mina's portrayal of Loki, who entertained a few individuals who were only competing for their own screen time. Rashida's sister was already there, and Safeguard was in the back, grinning as though he knew the tea was ready. Her mouth appeared as though she had just seen Carly Red, and she shook her head like a grumpy aunt at Thanksgiving. Security eventually managed to separate Yandy and Mendeecees, but the damage had already been done, and the producers were incensed because not only did Sis use her phone to take notes for her next challenging circumstance, but she returned to the chaos. Then they had to figure out how to clean up this PR issue. But was it really necessary to suspend filming? This is the point at which things get tricky. Get even with Welder since someone spilt some serious tea right after the fight, which may make the whole problem 10 times worse. A mystery cast member who has not been recognized was heard telling executives that Mendeecees, he may be living 2 lives in addition to cheating. That's right, you read it twice, and based on how people were, let's just say that this isn't your normal side chick problem, albeit we don't yet have all the information. If what they're saying is true, and Yandy's romance might be ended forever. And you all already know the media went crazy as the rumors started spreading, with Twitter on fire and Instagram bursting with jokes and comments. While one admirer pointed out that Mendeecees is the cause of the mayhem, another said Yandy should have broken up with the man we've been counseling her. I could watch a whole Netflix documentary about this amount of drama, but I'm actually acting like a double agent, don't you think? The real questions are what Mendeecees did and why Yandy held off on disclosing it until now. She was talking about a lot more than just a few texts, by the way, and trust me when I say that the second portion is the most fascinating. Messier because of the subsequent events, which have left many questioning whether their relationship was a phony from the start. You would assume that everything would calm down once Yandy and Mendeecees were separated by security, but just suddenly until someone disclosed something so surprising that the whole cast of Love and Hip Hop was shaken, everyone thought it was over. Essentially, remember the unidentified cast member I mentioned before, who claimed that Mies wasn't just being unfaithful, but yes, they were leading a double life. But they weren't lying, as it turns out. Backstage, rumors were spreading like wildfire, and it was a very tough break. And before you knew it, Yandy was crying once more. But this time, it was more than just anger. Let's break down the tea because this is the next step. It seems that Mies was playing family man for the crowd when cameras, and he and another woman were playing home. This is a serious matter, not a lighthearted one. The worst aspect is that Yandy was the last to find out about the woman, let's call her Maya for the time being, who has allegedly spent months in a completely different relationship with the Mendeecees, been leaving hints on social media for weeks, including posting mysterious remarks, wearing jewelry that looks quite similar to Yan's, and even waiting for it to post pictures taken inside a place that looks a lot like M's other flat. Being the wise lady that she is, Yandy had been becoming skeptical, but until now she had no hard proof because, to recap, one of the hip-hop and Love producers admitted a few months ago that they knew about it. The producers knew, and to make it worse, they were waiting for the right moment to reveal it on camera. Complicated, but it is blatantly evil that they chose to ignore this knowledge and let Yandy to begin the shoot completely blind, and bided their time till the perfect moment to tell the truth on camera. When Yandy realized this, I can assure you that she lost it. I mean a total collapse, yelling, trembling, and pushing the cameras away. She said, "You producers are terrible for making me look stupid for views at this point," and even the performers were starting to feel sorry for me. Mendeecees, yes. He was so quiet that the man had nothing, and let's face it, nobody should have to learn this way. You can tell it's terrible because Carly Red is sitting there looking guilty and not even stirring the pot. As if she realized that things were going out of control, Maya herself appeared just when you thought they couldn't be much worse. Decides to join the discussion after showing up unexpectedly, proving that Maya, the alleged other woman, was not within the producers are muttering, and their phones begin ringing right after, before anyone can even notice. They let her eye in so you could process what was happening. And now, sis, let me tell you how her expression changed when you saw her. Changed from being devastated to being ready to fight. She sprang up so fast that security had to grab her because things were going to become nasty. But Maya wasn't scared at all. Instead, she walked in calmly, as though she had been waiting for it. For the first time in her life, she gave Yandy a direct look and stated, "I'm sorry you had to find out, like even the Mendeecees who have been trying to play at it grew silent, but you deserve to know the truth." It appeared as though he had just seen a ghost when he realized for the first time that he had let out Yandy. She was crying when she asked her the one question that could change everything, and when I answered it, everything fell apart. Yandy completely, because sis looked Yandy in the face and said, instead of just stating a few months or even a year, everyone in the room was shocked and turned to look around before he was brought to prison, wondering whether she had really uttered what even the producers, she said, who had been waiting for this moment, seemed taken aback because it meant only one thing. Long before he was ever imprisoned, Mendeecees was keeping Yandy restrained while she was cheating on him, being true, visiting him, and preserving his reputation. But Yandy ended her relationship with her sister when I told you that he had another lover. This was more than just a betrayal. It was years of her life, and she fell to the ground, crying and fighting for air. The man couldn't even look at her since he was so drunk and mute. His voice broke as he tried to speak, and before he could finish his statement, Yandy threw her ring at him, and then it was over. Even when security started ejecting actors and the cameras went blank, producers felt they had gone too far. Even though it wasn't drama anymore, Erica Mena, who loves a good controversy, was crying and seemed ready to leave. It was heartbreaking to watch, and Yandy made one last declaration as she departed, leaving everyone's jobs in ruins. Then she turned. "I hope she was worth it because you just lost the best thing you ever had," and said, looking directly into his eyes. After she left, nobody believed it, and the producers didn't know what to do because how do you even yet? Trust me, Chapter 3 takes a much darker turn because, wait a minute, Maya wasn't done talking, and her next revelation will take this story to a new level. So congrats, Yandy. She simply went, her eyes raining on the floor with tears in them, and the whole cast is sitting there in complete shock. The truth has been revealed, and Maya is standing there in silence like she just dropped a nuclear bomb while the producers are perspiring. One of the most important romantic and hip-hop collaborations in history has been officially destroyed by them, and just when you thought we might as well tell everything since we're being truthful, and Maya wasn't playing around. It's finished. Mies had an entire baby. Yes, a child, because it turns out that he wasn't just lying about having a second wife. The room froze when I told you, sis. She might as well have flipped the table because of how strong the electricity was. Changed in a few seconds, and as I talk, people look confused, jump up, and hear Carly and the producers muttering. When she came back, sis turned and held her chest as though she were about to faint, but Yandy had already left the door. "Say that," she urged, looking directly into Maya's eyes. She spoke rapidly because she needed to hear this with her own ears. Again, and Maya pronounced it clearly. "Mendeecees has been hiding the fact that he has a baby from all of you, Yandy." She was about to collapse, but security had to intervene to keep her from doing so. Despite the fact that the performers were Erica Mena was shaking her head impatiently, Lil Scrappy was pacing the floor, and Bambi was saying this in the corner. Rich Dola seemed to want to leave because it was so ill-organized, plus it's some weird asterisk tea. This was a completely new degree of betrayal, and what was most ridiculous was that Nessie just stood there without saying anything. He was caressing his face as though he were about to pass out from the realization that he had been found when Maya finally pulled out the invoices. She swiftly tapped through her phone's photos and pulled out a picture of a newborn who had a striking resemblance to a male. When Yandy viewed the picture, she started crying since there was no question that Dee had the same eyes, nose, and small smirk. "I gave this man my entire life, and this is what he does," a whole child behind my back in Mendeecees. She was crying. Yandy swiftly cut him off when he finally muttered something. It's not what you think, listen. When you have a whole child, how can you hide a baby? Guys break at that point since this individual had been. He wiped his face, took a deep breath, and stood there crying while attempting to remain composed. Breath and said the words, I'm scared, baby, which only heightened Yandy's fear. You weren't afraid when you didn't appear scared when you let me know that you were lying to me while you were lying with her. You're worried that security had to hold Yandy back once more after she was shown acting foolishly on national TV. But the truth was known and everything was on camera. So even if he was ready to throw hands in May, he was unable to speak. Yandy's sister finished and went to Maya, instructing her to keep him since he was now hers, just as his whole world collapsed. Then, without looking back or apologizing, she took off her microphone, threw it to the floor, and left. He tried to follow her out when she was done, but security stopped him because there was nothing left to say, and all of a sudden, the most romantic and hip-hop collaboration in history ended, and the producers were given exactly what they wanted, for as soon as Yandy departed, the fade to black season's credits started to roll. That's how many of my pals, DCs, lost everything in a single night, from outright secrets to infidelity rumors. From hidden babies to side chicks, this man managed all of the relationships, and Yandy's sis departed with her dignity and calm, and her liberty since, let's be honest, she deserves it. I hope Mendeecees Yandy enjoys being single, as this is the end of the story and no one will ever take him seriously again. But let me tell you something, the consequences of this will become even more strange because, trust me, this isn't the end of it. And there you have it. Maya just dropped a bombshell that totally changed everything, and now you guys are in total chaos. Yandy was done for good, she said. Anything, but be aware that everyone in the love and hip-hop worlds is already reacting socially, so this drama is far from over. You already know that the actors are taking sides, the media is in ruins, and the producers are plotting something. Who do you guys believe was keeping Yandy in the dark about the truth the whole time? The upcoming season is going to be hectic. Do you all think that Maya had a secret plan all along? And do you really think that he could hide a complete child forever? Kindly provide your thoughts in the space provided for comments below. I would like to get your thoughts on this situation. Turn on those notifications, subscribe, and like the content. I assure you, there is no immediate end in sight to the drama. You must not ignore the approaching. Until the next time, stay filthy. Be cautious and watch out.